So this is the back stitch. The back stitch, you start with the running stitch, but then you go backwards, and I'll show you what I mean. You can use the back stitch to make facial details on a lot of the templates that we have available for you to use. And that's how I made the face on my gingerbread man. So let's get started. I have a knot at the end of my thread. I have a single layer of felt. So if I wanted to make a mouth, I'm gonna just poke up anywhere randomly for demonstration purposes. And ideally, when you're doing details like a mouth or eyes, you want to take smaller stitches with your running stitch. So there's my first stitch. Now, if this was normally just going to be a running stitch, it actually starts out kind of the same way. I go to the back side and I bring it up. You might have to poke through a couple times. I'm going to come all the way through. Now, if I wanted to continue with the running stitch, I'd put my needle down over here. But I want it to look like one line. So instead of poking my needle down over here, I'm going to go back and insert it at the end of my previous stitch. Like that. And then I continue as if I'm doing the running stitch, but instead of going this way with my thread, I'm going to keep going backwards. I'm going to keep inserting my needle back into where my last stitch ended. And this will take a little practice to get, you know, this could be a smile, this could be a crooked little mischievous smile. And sometimes if it's not perfect, it works out better than if it was, because you get a little bit of personality in that smile. You could, if you were using a lighter colored felt, draw a line with a pencil so that you had something to follow. But you don't need to. Like I say, this doesn't have to be perfect. And you can see that this smile is not perfect. So you could just continue with an outline of a smile like the gingerbread person has, or I could come across the top here, or even do a double layer to give it emphasis. But if I wanted to come across the top, I would use the same technique. Coming up like it's a running stitch, but you're returning the needle at the beginning of where your previous stitch ended up. That one I didn't quite go far enough. That's okay. Like I say, the beauty of handmade items is that they're not perfect. You don't want them to be perfect, because we can buy things in the store that were made by a machine that look perfect. And, you know, if you're making this for yourself or somebody for a gift, people love handmade items. So that is the back stitch. Now you use the same stitch to make an eye. So I'm going to show you how to make that winky eye. So you're going to come up. You want to do, what I like to do is do one straight one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go above and I'm going to put the needle back down in the center. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom. I'm going to come up on the outside of the winky eye. And I'm going to end it back down in that same center. And that's how you make a winky eye. Another type of eye is to do a little curve and then eyelashes. So I'll show you that real quick too. Same back stitch. I start with a running stitch. I'm going to do a little curved eyelid. And you can mix and match the eyes. You can have one closed eye with eyelashes and a winky eye. We have felt circular punch outs that we do in black, and that's a different technique to sew those on, which will be in a different video. So now I've finished the curve. Now I want to make some eyelashes. So I came up with my thread there, and I'm going to poke it down at that lash line. Then I'm going to keep coming up away from the lash line and putting the thread back down where the lash line is. And now you can see how that's coming together. It looks like a closed eye with eyelashes. Now I'm using embroidery floss that has 3 strands. You're going to be using regular thread that you'll only have 2 strands. So what you see here is thicker than what you're going to have. So it's actually going to be easier for you to get the detail. And that's how you use the back stitch to create a mouth or different types of eyes.